What is one thing I like to do to prepare for Shabbat? What do I use in place of pork sausage? The answers to these questions and more coming up in today's video. It's Raquel here with Women Living Torah, where we love Yeshua and we enthusiastically and practically live out his words in our hearts, homes, and families. Today, I am so excited to share with you different aspects of my Torah walk journey in Messiah. It has been nearly a decade since my husband and I have come into this walk following our Messiah Yeshua, walking as he walked in the Torah. It has been an amazing, transformative, life-changing experience, and I want to share different aspects of this experience with you in hopes it's going to encourage you in your own Torah walk, wherever you are at in your journey, whether you are just coming into the Torah walk or if you've been in it for a decade or longer, or if you're somewhere in between. I just hope that this is going to excite you about God's word and about growing in the Lord, and that we'll share some great ideas with each other as well. In today's video, I am answering 5 different questions about my Torah walk journey, but you can head over to the Women Living Torah website, link in the description box, for 15 more answers to questions about my Torah walk journey. So let's get into today's video with the first question, which is, how did I even become a follower of Yeshua in the first place? I have a whole video about our Torah testimony, how we came to understand the relevancy of Torah in a believer's life, but I have not yet shared how I became a follower of Yeshua. And so my story begins with my childhood. My family was a Christian family. We attended the United Pentecostal Church, so we were Pentecostal, apostolic, and when I was about 7 years old, my family sent me to a church kids camp, and that was where I first truly felt the Lord's presence drawing me to himself, and I dedicated my life to him at that camp. I came back, I walked the walk for a little bit at 7 years old, and then about that time, tragedy struck in my family. There was significant trauma that happened in my childhood, and I guarded my heart. I put this hard shell around my heart and guarded it against anyone and against feeling loved by other people, and even against the Lord. And I resisted anything having to do with the Lord, even though from 7 years old, I was feeling the Lord drawing me, beckoning me to him, but I resisted because I didn't want to open myself up to love and to being potentially hurt again. So fast forward, when I was 12 years old, my family moved states. And when we moved states, we left behind all of that trauma and all of the not the memories, but the physical memories of what all had taken place. And we came to a new church and new people who genuinely loved God and were joyful and full of faith. And I still love these people today. They each in their own way made a significant impact in my walk with God today, and I'm so grateful for them. And so I felt at 12 years old, my heart starting to that hard shell starting to crack a little bit and starting to soften just a little bit. And the final blow, when I was 14 years old, again, I went to a youth church camp. And I don't even remember what was being taught or preached, but I felt the Lord so strongly drawing me to himself, and I just could not resist anymore. People had shown me so much love, and their faith was so genuine. And then now here I am up against the presence of the Lord, and I couldn't resist anymore. I gave my life to him again at 14 years old, and I would say that's when my walk with God truly started. And believe me, when I went to that camp one way and I came back completely changed, completely transformed. It was shocking to other people, and it was shocking to me too. I would yell at my sisters before, and then I don't yell at my sisters anymore. I've got an apathetic, don't care attitude before, and now I've got an attitude that wants to help other people and bless other people. Yahweh truly worked a transformation in my life, and that's what began my relationship with Yeshua. The second question I'm answering today is, how has keeping the commandments surprisingly impacted a decision or an area of your life? And I have a great story for this one today. I was actually debating between a couple, but I'm going with this one. And before I even get into it, let me just say it has to do with dental care, and that you should not rely on me and my explanation of things to inform your own decisions. You should definitely talk with your dentist, your healthcare providers about your own care, as well as this happened like like 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm not a dental oral surgeon, and so I might not have my facts exactly straight, but I'm going to relay it to you as honestly as I can. The story is I needed a abscess tooth extracted, and I was talking to my oral surgeon in the consultation. We were talking about the potential of having a dental implant later on put in, and if I was going to have that done, I would need to have a bone graft in my jaw. And we're talking about the process, and the consultation is nearly finished. It is nearly finished, and I just think to ask, what is this bone graft made out of? Oh, we use cadaver bone, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, wait a second, I can't do that because the cadaver bone does not reabsorb back into the body, or even if it did, it's still a cadaver bone. It's still from a deceased person. And so I said, I can't do that. It would make me perpetually unclean, according to the Torah, to always be essentially touching a dead body. And so I asked, what are my other options? And he said, okay, well, we could do synthetic material, which I believe was titanium, or we could do a bovine graft, which comes from a cow. And the bovine graft, while it is put into your jaw, the body eventually reabsorbs it as it builds its own bone and structure back. So I didn't really want to do the titanium or the synthetic one, which would always be in my body as well. It's foreign material. So I ended up deciding to go with the bovine. No problem, we're gonna do the bovine. So great, thank you, Yahweh, that I thought to ask that question at the last minute, didn't end up with cadaver bone in my body. Then the day of the surgery comes, and guys, I am just about to be sedated. I am on the chair, laid back, they've got everything hooked up to my arm, and they are just about to push the medicine through, and I just ask, you do have the bovine graft, right? Let me check. So they go and they check, and they come back, you know, we don't actually have it here. We must have run out. We only have the cadaver in office right now. And I was like, okay, I'm just not going to do it. I want this tooth out today. So just forget about the implants later on. Well, I think that actually puts a dent in their pocketbook. So they're like, oh no, we'll just reschedule you for our other office, which has the bovine graft. So I did eventually go to that other office for another appointment and got the graft and all that. But I was so relieved and so thankful that not once, but twice, Yahweh prompted me to ask about the material and what was about to be put in my mouth before it was done, so that I could, in as much as possible, obey him and keep his commandments. You know, if it was within my knowledge and within my power to know, praise Yahweh that I was able to keep his commandments. The third question I'm going to answer today is, what is one thing I like to do to prepare for Shabbat? And I know I've talked about this before in videos, but I don't think I've ever gone in depth about why I like to do this. I like to start at the entrance of my home, walk throughout my whole house, and view my home through a guest's eyes. And the reason why I like to do this is not because I'm perfectionist. Oh, there's a tractor going by. Okay, they're done. They're by now. I don't do this because I'm being perfectionist and idolizing cleanliness, and I can't rest, and I can't have anyone over on Shabbat unless everything is absolutely perfect and orderly and there's nothing anywhere that would make me embarrassed if someone were to see it. I do it because I want to prepare myself and my home to be welcoming and inviting and prepared for the event of a guest coming over unexpectedly. Having that freedom to be able to invite someone over after Shabbat service, or you meet someone on your way to Shabbat service, or whatever it might be, something spontaneous, something random. Maybe I'm not expecting guests, but I want to be able to be hospitable at the drop of a dime. I always, when I'm doing this, I always envision a pot of stew being warmed on the back of the stove and just staying there, full of hearty, delicious, warm meal, and it fills the house with delicious smells. It's warming, and there's plenty. There's an abundance that if anyone were to come into my home, there's food for my family and there's food for them too. I had heard the story of a woman who did this. She always kept a big pot of hearty, warm, delicious, savory, great smelling stew on the back of her oven range for just in the event that someone would come over and they could share a meal together. I want to be prepared and willing and ready to invite someone over to my home, have them in, welcome them in, and them feel comfortable and warm. So I'll walk through my home, and I'm not, doing any deep cleaning or anything, but if maybe I can add a warm touch here, throw a blanket over the couch, or maybe I'll put a candle out so that I can light it if someone comes over, or maybe I clean up a little mail pile or something that's just detracts from the peacefulness and the comfortability of the home. You know, if I can do something like that, I want to do that. I want to be ready, willing, prepared for being hospitable. So that is one thing I like to do to prepare for Shabbat. The fourth question I'm answering today is, what is my favorite biblically clean Shabbat meal? And I didn't even have to think about this one. Hands down, my favorite meal for Shabbat is chicken pot pie. Again, going back to this warm, inviting, comforting food. Definitely love chicken pot pie. It's very versatile. You can make it ahead of time. You can serve it cold, you can serve it warm, and you can put whatever you want inside of it. So, you know, you have the traditional veggies of peas, onions, garlic, oh goodness, now I can't even remember, carrots, celery. You know, you have your traditional vegetables that you put inside of it, but I like to change it up to go with what's in season. So one of my favorites to make is with butternut squash or sweet potatoes, whichever one I have on hand. Carrots, peas, I'll do radishes, I've done kohlrabi in it, I'll do kale, Swiss chard. I mean, whatever vegetables you have, put it in there with some gravy and chicken inside of a crust, and you've got a chicken pot pie that is going to be amazing. So that's my favorite dish to have for Shabbat. And the fifth and final question I'm answering in this video is, what do I use in place of pork sausage? Now, I have a little trick for you here. If there's something that you like that is not biblically clean, or that you have previously eaten that you obviously are no longer eating because it's not biblically clean, go to the store, find that product, and just look at what spices and seasonings are used in it. Then take those same spices and seasonings and apply them to a biblically clean meat. So what I use in place of pork sausage, which by the way, we were never big pork sausage people. We usually ate like turkey sausage or something. But the way that I make my own and what I use instead of pork sausage is just ground beef that I add salt, pepper, and this is the secret ingredient, rosemary. Fresh rosemary is of course absolutely better, but dehydrated or dried rosemary is also very good. There is something about the rosemary that gives you this sausagey flavor. I absolutely love it. Do not miss pork sausage at all. And it's so easy to make your own biblically clean sausage when you have the right spices and seasonings. So that's it. Salt, pepper, and rosemary. Sometimes I might add garlic, but really rosemary's the key. I just add that to my ground beef and I either form it into patties or into links, or I'll just chop it up and brown it that way. So there you have it, different experiences and aspects of my Torah walk journey. Please give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. I hope it has been encouraging to you in your own walk, and I would love to hear from you in the comments your answer to some of these questions. Definitely check out the blog, the website that's linked in the description box, because I have more to share with you about my Torah walk journey. I answer questions like, what does my family do on Shabbat? I share about our transition to biblically eating and what that was like. I talk about the most common objections that I get to Torah and how I respond to people. What color tzitzit I wear, and many, many more. So definitely head over to the website. Let's continue our conversation there as well. Ladies, I so appreciate you being here, for commenting, for interacting and engaging with me and with the other ladies in this amazing community of godly women. I hope that you are encouraged to love your husbands, to love your children, to keep your home, and to do all that you do to the glory of God. Until next time, I pray that Yahweh would bless you and keep you. I'll talk with you later. Goodbye.